Yeah, sure. Dave, are you able to talk about any of these transfers you've landed so far this summer?
No, unfortunately. So yeah, I can't talk about him yet.
Gotcha. What would you like to do
To
left
do
the
left
portal?
the portal.
Um, oh, Dudley, I think you're unmuted. Okay. What else? What's left for you to try to get in the portal? Do you have like specific positions that you'd like to try to still fill with the portal guys?
Well, I think more than anything, if we do anything else, it just needs to be the right guy. It needs to be, the right makeup, mentality, teammate, and um, there's a few high profile names out there, and it gets a little crazy. But I feel good about the guys we have coming back, and I mean we've got almost 15, 18 guys out playing summer ball, working hard, and they've been in our program, and so we feel good about them. Obviously, if there was somebody that could really help us on the mound or in the field, we would definitely be interested. But it's not like we're, feel like that we're not going to be able to put good players at every position next year. So I would answer that with, we'll just wait and see.
I think Brady Tigert had been invited to Team USA, but I don't think he's out there. Could you give us an update on what his plans are for this summer?
Yeah, just kind of resting. We were really trying to take it easy with him there at the end of the season for the most part, keeping an eye on him, and just don't want to aggravate anything. Just want him to heal up and be ready to go in the fall. And so yeah, he didn't go.
Bob. Hey Dave, how you doing? If you
Good.
can't talk about specific players you got from the portal, can you talk generally? How do you feel about how you're reshaping the roster here in the off season?
Well, we just needed to get a little bit. Well, we had to fill in some spots, obviously, maybe with a little bit of age, but um, I mean, it's pretty simple. You know who you lose. You know who you got coming back. Do you need to plug in a guy for depth, or do you need a left-handed hitter, right-handed hitter, maybe a reliever or two? And that's kind of what we've done.
I mean, how good do you feel about the play? Because I know you can't mention names, but we know who they are. They've been out there on the internet and everything. Just how good do you feel about the talent and the type of guys you're getting?
Well, I feel good about every one of them that's committed to come play for us, and uh, they're just good people. We've had them in, been around them, and I think they'll contribute a lot next year. So, we're good. We're with what we have coming in so far.
And then Wes Johnson got the Georgia job. So unless I missed, I think that's two former Dave Van Horn assistants who are now coaching SEC programs. What you think about Wes getting that job? You think he's ready to be in, or how ready is he to be an SEC head coach? Do you think?
Well, I'm happy for Wes and his family, and I, called him and also texted him after that came out and congratulated him. Just happy for him as a coach. He's wanted to coach at the highest level. This league is definitely the highest level of Division I baseball. Uh, just and do I think he's ready? I mean, yeah, I think he's ready. I think as a head coach, you just got to make sure you get the right people around you and you feel comfortable with your staff, and he knows what he's doing, so he'll be fine.
Well, yeah. What do you think about having him and Tony now in the league? And then you've got a pretty good tree, whether it was former players like Will Bolt or former assistants like those guys. And I guess how much pride do you take in there? Just what do you think about? People talk about coaching trees I mean, you got to be pretty good to have a coaching tree. I would think.
Well, obviously, those guys did a great job when they were here, and they've gone off and done a great job where they're at. They were good before I hired them, and to see them, become head coaches in the Southeastern Conference, it's I'm excited for them, happy for them, and I talk to Tony a lot. Maybe people don't believe that, but we talk all the time. Talked to him yesterday, so happy for those guys. That's what they wanted to do when they came here. I told them if they'd come here and work hard, that I'd help them do whatever they wanted to do. And they're just, it's good seeing them. Don't like competing against them, but proud of them and happy for them.
Wes, he's obviously an Arkansas guy, not just a Razorback guy, but he's from the state and everything. What do you think he brings to the table for Georgia?
Well, I think he brings a lot of experience at this level. Obviously, he got to, be in the big leagues for a while and decided to step away from that. He didn't get run out of there. He decided he wanted to get back to this, to this type of job. And I don't know. I just think that he's ready to go.
Okay, I might have a few more, but I'll turn back to Oliver. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, coach, you've got a lot of guys that are draft eligible, like kind of like those older guys in the position players like McLaughlin, Holt, Callie, all those. I was just wondering, it's probably a little too early to tell, but do you have an idea of what of that group might be able to come back and what might be looking to go move on?
Well, I think the obvious ones that are going to be pretty good picks are Josenberger and, Wagner. And obviously Josenberger could come back. Wagner's used his eligibility. Borfin, he could come back as well. But the guys you mentioned, we want to keep those guys. And, some of them are healing up, whether it's a knee injury or a back injury or whatever. But, we feel like that example, McLaughlin and Holt, the guys that you've mentioned, they're going to be a big part of our team next year. I think Holt is kind of like a utility guy, can play anywhere. And McLaughlin's a first baseman, DH type guy. I don't foresee him pitching. But he's trying to heal up. The knee's still not there. And he's back here working out, and so is Holt, and trying to get ready for fall.
And just, with the College World Series, a lot of times your season ends there, so you're able to see those teams up close. But how much are you watching those games and kind of comparing and contrasting your roster and just how you guys do things, how they do things, and just evaluating from that standpoint?
Yeah, I watched most of the games, at least part of them. Usually the start, if I could get there to in front of a TV or whatever to watch it, or on my phone or what, just to see how it goes. But yeah, I think as a coach, you're always evaluating other teams and how they built their teams and their rosters and their bullpens. Everything. And the series games were super competitive. Obviously, the wind blew in probably 7 out of the 10 days up there, and games were real low scoring, not very many home runs. And then the wind shifted out of the northwest and west pretty much the last 3 days, and the ball was flying. It's interesting how that ballpark plays. It did a 360. It's all about the wind. If there's no wind or wind's blowing out, the ball really travels up there in June. If it's blowing in, you have to really hit it or hit it down the lines. And but it was a great series to watch. A lot of good teams.
Mason?
Yeah, Coach, I was curious if you could just update us on the status of guys like Cody Frank, Peyton Stovall coming back from injuries. Just how are they doing?
Yeah, both of those guys are back in town now, working out, helping out with camps, doing some things, rehabbing, coming along good as far as we know. Just Corey Wood, our trainer, and I said he was the busiest trainer in the country last year. He's working hard this summer helping those guys, and we just appreciate the effort that they're putting in to get back. So it's that's really about all I can give you right now, because we're not out obviously throwing the ball yet and those type of things. They're not, and they're just working on their bodies and staying in shape and working on a little mobility. So we're going to do everything we can to get those guys back 100%.
And I know it might be a little too early to tell, but for Peyton, do you expect him to play at second base again next year, or what are those conversations like?
Yeah, I expect him to play second base next year. That's pretty much the conversation.
All right. Thank you.
Dudley?
Coach, obviously you got the draft coming up, and you've got a great recruiting class. I think you mentioned the word smoked when you were talking about it, as far as great players maybe be taken. Talk a little bit about how you have to deal with that as a baseball coach these days. Not only that, but the portal, and how it's just a year-round thing for you.
Yeah, it's the draft is, I'm done complaining about it. And I think every Division I coach we've talked about till we're blue in the face. The draft should have been 2 weeks ago, or at the very latest, maybe now at the very latest. So at least we could move on and figure this thing out. You know, we don't know what's going to go on with Hayden Miller or Walker Martin. I could go on and on. We are talking with them, trying to figure out what kind of money they're going to demand to sign and what they're really thinking. Do they really want to go to school? You having all those conversations. It's just what you do. And then you throw in the portal, the transfer portal, and they kind of tie into each other. You know, you might not want to get too many guys out of the portal, so you find out you're going to lose some of your incoming class. But you have to be smart about it. And, you know, you can dream about getting all these guys. We don't want to dream around here. We're more about reality. And so we've tried to handle some things, take care of some things, and hoping we can maybe sneak one of those 3 or 4 position players are going to sign through. And we've got some other guys that are going to be really good that are not going to be drafted, or they're going to be drafted low and they're probably going to make it to school. Pitching wise, with the high school kids, you know, we're going to get some of these guys. We may lose a couple, but we're going to get a lot of them through, and there's going to be a really good pitching class. The position players, it might be a little more difficult to get some of these high-end hitters, unfortunately, but we're doing everything we can to figure it out. And then, you know, that leads us to the portal, when we know 2 or 3 guys aren't going to get here and a couple of our guys are going to sign. You know, the ones that are up in the air right now are, you know, say a Caleb Cali or some of these guys. Are they going to come back? Are they going to, if they don't get drafted, will they take free agent money, and how much would they ask for? And there's a limit, and is that going to be enough to skip your last year? And we have a few of those guys out there. So, I mean, we won't know where we're at, honestly, probably for maybe another 3 to 4 weeks.
And how does the now NIL play into giving you an advantage, or is it even a disadvantage at some points?
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. It's an advantage over some that don't have as much, so to speak, and it's a disadvantage over some that have a lot more. So I think just from watching games the last few weeks, you see where the portal can really springboard you ahead of some people. If guys come in and they stay healthy and they don't get hurt. But I think last summer some schools maybe were more advanced in what they could offer, and they did offer, and they got help from around the area and the state, and they landed some pretty good guys, and guys that we were on, honestly. And, you know, but this year it's more of maybe it's a little more level, but it's honestly out of control. I don't know where this goes from here. If you were dealing with it like we are, and everybody is, I mean, I've watched some mid-major Division I programs get absolutely, to use another term, torched this summer already. I've seen coaches quit, retire, that weren't going to, but they don't have any players left. And I don't know where it's going to go. So we want to be in the game, so we're in the game, so we're getting after it. But if you really take a step back and look at everything as a whole, I think it's a mess. And it's I don't know. We'll see where it ends up. But right now we're recruiting hard and trying to keep our guys that we signed, you know, just keep them, get them here. And then the guys in the portal, you know, just waiting on a few things. But we feel good where we're at.
Come back around, Hutch.
Dave, I heard Hunter Holland do an interview a couple of weeks ago saying that he was seriously considering coming back. I mean, would you expect him to be coming back? And does the surgery that he had but have a play a factor into that at all?
Well, if that's what he said, I would love to have him back. Let's just leave it at that. I figure someone's going to sign him, but I would love to have Hunter back.
And what's the timeline like for Dylan Carter? I know it was really late in the year when he had his Tommy John. Is there any path to him pitching in 2024, or is it probably looking like 25?
Well, I don't think anybody can outwork him, and he's tough as can be. And I think if he does pitch, it would be late in the season, but we'll just try to evaluate that, you know, as best we can through late fall, January. The issue is you got to turn in a roster, but they've raised the number on the roster to 40 instead of 35. We used to have turn in a roster of 35, so now we can go to 40 unless that changes because things change, and so it really just be up to how he feels.
And you mentioned Caleb Cowley a couple of times. He had a really good year, especially after the slow start. I mean, are you surprised a little bit that you're talking about him maybe coming back next year? Or usually a guy like that, gets drafted pretty decent?
Well, you never know what they're thinking. Pro people look at a third baseman, and there's he had a good year here, but you think about third basemen that are in the big leagues or what they do. They're hitting 35, 45 home runs a year, and sometimes they're 6'7". I mean, you never know, but I think he had a really good year. I don't feel like that he's going to just take anything. He does want to play pro ball, but I just talked to him yesterday, and it's not all about signing. He's not going to sign for a little bit, so to speak. He's got to feel good about it. It's got to be a path, If you kind of have an idea if an organization just signing you to fill a spot or whatever, they need to show you the way a little bit. And so I think there's always that possibility.
All right, Bob, want to close this out?
I'm sure. My pleasure. Dave, if you're saying you think Payton's going to play second, I assume that you feel like his throwing shoulder will be okay. Is that, or what would you say on that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like it'll be fine. Just kind of the way it turned out. They got in there, looked at it, fixed it. It's things I've heard. I know he's going to work extremely hard to get back, and I feel good about it. I've seen that injury with the pitcher, a little more difficult with the position player. You can use different arm slots, and he's got all those arm slots, and I think he's going to be just fine.
And would you anticipate Peyton Holt being back? And if he's back with the way he finished, I assume you don't want him in the lineup. Where would he play if he's back, and if the other Peyton is at second?
Well, I think he can play anywhere. Like I said earlier, I think he's a utility guy. He showed that you get him some at bats, he can hit, and he's tough. He brings a little athleticism. He had some injuries last year. Just about time looked like he might get in the lineup a lot. He hurt his hamstring, obviously. The back thing, and just got to keep him healthy. And he's working on that this summer to limber up a little bit. He's extremely strong, and it's not all about strength with him. It's already there. It's more about flexibility. So I think he'll be battling to play and get in the lineup a lot. And I don't know. That's what you want. You want guys that really want to get after it and play, and Holt's that guy.
And then I know you guys can't match major league teams signing bonuses in a lot of cases, but how much does NIL help? Maybe a guy's thinking, well, I really want to go to college and I can make some pretty decent NIL money going to Arkansas or wherever the case might be. And was LSU one of those teams you were talking about? It looks like they figured out NIL. And just what was your take on another SEC national champion, two teams playing, just kind of more SEC stuff?
Well, I think that LSU is incredibly good and well-deserved championship. We played them. We didn't play Florida. Watched Florida play a lot. They're extremely talented as well. I think they had 4 or 5 guys on the first and second all-conference team. So really good teams. Yeah, LSU and a bunch of them, I think, did a great job with the portal. And, you're asking me a silly question, Bob, if you really, I mean, seriously, who they had that came from the portal? Maybe Tommy Tanks and a guy named, was it Skeens? I think that was his name. He was pretty good. We could go on and on. So, but they had the best team in the country, and they proved it. But yeah, as far as, keeping somebody from signing a professional contract, NIL is not going to be able to do that unless it's maybe more of a free agent type guy, or, maybe a late pick that where they're only going to pay you $150,000. You might be able to keep that guy with some NIL money, but they have way too much money to not sign a guy if they really want to sign him.
And then on the coaching tree, beyond Wes and Tony, other guys like Chris Curry and Matt Deggs and Will Bolt. I guess I was asking about them too. I mean, it's a pretty expansive tree now. I mean, beyond the SEC guys, how do you feel about the total thing?
Yeah, I mean, again, I've mentioned this many a time. I'm proud of those guys. They, I've got guys that are working at different levels and will call me for advice or how would you handle this or whatever. And it's always fun to try to keep up with them. Checking scores at night and box scores just to see how their players are doing and how they're doing. And I think it's like anybody else. You have guys that work for you for a while or even play for you, that are out coaching now. It's kind of rewarding, so to speak, and you're proud of them because it's not easy. It's tough winning. It's tough winning every year, and most of those guys have done a really good job and have held their jobs, moved up, and I don't know, just kind of fun.
Maybe if the government didn't have such a trillions of dollar deficit, Air Force could have kept Skeens. I don't know.
I doubt it.
We've had some hands go up. Ellis, keep us rolling.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the guys playing summer ball. Are there any that have stuck out to you so far, or maybe some guys moving forward that you're really looking forward to see what they can do this summer?
Well, there's some guys that are doing well. I think Jason Jones is doing well, and he could go on and on. I mean, I've got a list in front of me here, but honestly, it's about 20 guys. And we're kind of to the point now where we're going to start checking in on them more. I mean, I get some emails from their league sent to me 9-10 o'clock most every night or a little later. And I'll try to go through them and see how our guys did, or just have an idea if they played or didn't play and pitched through an inning or started or whatever. But really, they're just now starting to get the innings in and maybe enough at bats where you can tell, how it's going for them. So I'm just glad they're out playing. They're trying to get better. And it usually shows up in fall ball that they've made a jump.
You mentioned Jason Jones. If you look at him and Kendall Diggs' freshman years, they're almost identical in a lot of the statistics. I was just wondering, do you get the same kind of feel with him that you had with Kendall last year of like, hey, this is a guy who could really make a jump, and if he makes that jump, could be a big part of your lineup?
Yes, and no doubt. We feel like that, Jason's he's a good athlete. A lot of people think they just see a big guy. He's a good athlete. He can run and throws well. Obviously, he's got power. I think he's going to hit for an average. He can probably play all four infield positions, and I believe he could play some short if you wanted him to, or he just said, hey, we need help there. He can actually play in the outfield as well. I mean, he looked really good out there. He just out of the blue took some fly balls for us out there when pregame against Mississippi State. And I was like, wow. And he's out there with his infield glove because we were down a couple of outfielders at the time, and we put him in there. We said, heck with it. Let's just do it. And so I think that he's one that'll play every day. I think that he's going to make a jump this summer, and in fall ball, he'll tear it up.
Last one for me, just Hagen Smith's obviously going to be a huge part of what you do next year as a pitching staff. When you look ahead and think about your roster, do you view him as a for sure starter, or do you think the door is still kind of open for him to do both and kind of go back and forth like he did this past year?
Well, I'd say he's a for sure starter. I mean, unless he came up to me and said, Coach, I just really want to come out of the pen. And that's slim and none that anybody ever says that. I think he's a starter. He's been through it. He's done everything: middle relief, close, start. He's still really young. I think he turns 20 in August, like August 18th or something. So he'll be 20 all next year. He'll be 20 at the draft. We saw a jump in him physically this past year. We'll see another jump in him where he's going to really, in our opinion, come into being more of the man's strength, so to speak, and mature, and great kid, great worker, love him. He cares. He really cares. And I think he's going to be a superstar.
Matt Joe. Nope.
Dave, if you mentioned Parker Rowland, I missed him. How does he fit in next year? Do you expect him to be back?
Parker Rowland? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I expect him to be back.
Yes,
Yeah,
Parker
summer
Rowland.
ball. Yeah, he'll be back. He's one of the best, I would say defensive catchers in the league. Obviously, he didn't hit well. And I think down the road, I think he might want to coach, and I think he's got some good traits for that. But yeah.
All right, Hutch. Last one here.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions about a couple of pitchers. Zach Morris was a senior this year, but I think he has another year of eligibility. Do you expect him to come back, or do you think he might move on?
I think it's up to whether or not somebody signs him. Zach indicated to us that, if he doesn't sign a professional contract, he's by no means ready to stop playing baseball or not play at Arkansas. So I would say that unless something changes from my conversation with him, and Coach Hobbs has had a couple of conversations with him, that, he's going to be playing baseball, whether it's professional or here next year.
Will McIntyre is another guy like that. Do you expect him back? And could he have if he is back, do you have a role kind of like he did at the end of last year where he pitches, a couple of times a weekend?
Yes. Will's the same way, unless somebody drafts him or gives him really good opportunity. We feel like that, he'll be back. He's here working out and helping out with camps and just getting ready to see what's going to happen for him. And obviously we want him back. We'd love to have him back. And his role, I think that's the role he likes, first guy out of the pen, and it's the fifth. Let's see if he can go the distance, or you can close him. You kind of got to see when he only had to throw one inning, he can get the ball up there a little bit. But he pitched really well second half. We had a great season, and we wouldn't have had it without Will kicking it into gear. And, I think a lot of that was lost in, the way it all went down at the end of the season. We had an incredible season. Went through a lot of adversity with injuries. We had great leadership from our older guys. They kept fighting. I thought the coaches did a great job. And, this is the fifth year in a row that we get to design a ring for these guys. And it's pretty special. SEC championship is really hard to get. And, we want to take one more step. Obviously, our goal is to win a national championship. And if we can get all the pieces to come back, we're gonna do everything we can to get one here in the next year or two.
And the last one I got, Brady Tigert, what he showed you at the end of last year as a starter, does that give you enough confidence that he is going to be a starter for you next year?
100%. Stuff's really good. Just got to get him in really good shape and get him healthy, where he feels great all the time, where he knows he feels great, and he can just go out and pitch. I think you saw a lot different demeanor pitcher this last, 5 or 6 weeks of the season, where we were pitching him, 30 pitches here, 30 there, 40, kind of moved him up. You didn't see a guy that was all crazy out there and just trying to throw the ball 95, 96 and bunch of breaking balls. You saw him pitch. He threw his fastball, he threw a two-seamer, a four-seamer, a changeup, and obviously the breaking pitch. And he showed everyone, I feel like, at least in our dugout, that he deserves every opportunity to be a conference starter next year. And I think 100% he's got what it takes. Just got to get him right.
All right, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Okay. Thank you, guys.